Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Literature and the Arts. Today, we'll be delving into the Pulitzer Prize winning novel that has captivated readers for generations, and that is Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird. Though published in 1960, this novel has become an integral part of American literature, exploring themes of racism, racial injustice, tolerance, and loss of innocence. As I've said earlier in one of our editions, if you want to know the history of a people, pick up their literature, because every work of art, to a great extent, mirrors the society. Every work of art, to a great extent, is shaped by social, political, and economic circumstances in that society. In fact, the African writer and critic Ngugi wa Thiong'o posited that literature does not develop in a vacuum. It is given impetus, shape, and direction by social, economic, and political forces in the society. So, most of the time, what inspires a writer to write are the social, political, prevailing circumstances in that particular time. In fact, if it does not inspire it will reflect in the work of art. And the same is not different from what you will find in Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird. Because literature, as it usually says, mirrors the society, it will be good to understand the aspect of America that this novel mirrors. What must have inspired this kind of classical work that has endured time and generations? What must have battered this creativity that seems to still be very relevant to us today? And that is the historical context we want to study in this edition. It's important to note that the setting of the novel is 1930 America. Of course, like I said earlier, it was published in 1960, but the setting is 1930 United States of America. Now, why are these two dates very significant? The 1930 was a time that was characterized by the Great Depression and racism. First, the Great Depression. The Great Depression in America was a time of economic downturn, a time of economic challenge, a time where people lost their jobs, a time of recession. This was a time this was what characterized the 1930 America. And you will find that in the characters, you will see it in their economic life, in the sense that there were very poor people in that society in the text. Also, another very important aspect of the novel is that the period was a period characterized by racism. Now, officially in America, slavery ended in 1890. However, by 1930, when this novel is set, it had done this abolition of slavery had done little or nothing in solving the racial tension and problem in America. In fact, when the Jim Crow laws was signed, which legalized racism, it caused discrimination in the society, where African Americans did not have civil rights. Whenever they boarded buses, they were to sit at the back while the whites should sit in front. They did not have access to certain infrastructures and amenities in the society because they were simply African Americans, because of their color. They could not visit certain hospitals. Schools were differentiated. There were schools for the whites and schools for the blacks, which obviously would be would be inferior to that of the whites. Like I said earlier, that in the bus, blacks were to sit at the back while the whites were to sit in front. You know, all this level of racial discrimination persisted and continued. However, in the 1950s, the civil rights movement began to advocate for equality in the society. The civil rights movement began to clamor for equality. Men like Martin Luther King Jr. Uh, led protests, led different sit back protests, and as a result of that, it was during this advocacy for civil rights, equality in the society, abolishing racism, that was when Harper Lee's work was published. So it's a work that contributed to the civil rights advocacy. It was a work, the happenings, it said that the happenings in that novel slightly mirrors Harper Lee's experience when she was young in the southern part of America in the 1930s. So technically, we can say it's like an autobiography. So the novel mirrors American society in the 1930s, a time that was characterized by racism. Even in the justice system, where the judiciary is believed to be the last succor of the common man. However, in that same judiciary where they could run to get justice, the judiciary system, the jury system is populated by whites. No black representation. So the racism continued, was everywhere, even to the justice system. And that's what Harper Lee portrays in To Kill a Mockingbird. So this novel is a very fantastic novel that, the Civil Rights Act was now legalized, became a law in 1968. But this novel is a contributor to the fight against racism in America. Thank you for listening to this edition of Literature and the Arts. We'll continue more.